Last time I have been speaking about, putting conditions into place that can support us so we have more capacity for precision, for really paying attention, to how we are impacted by our experience and having that as a doorway to getting to know ourselves better and the patterns of how we are relating to experience. And at the same time, through getting to know those patterns, there's a deepening and widening of our capacity for connection and love, really. And so creating space for our experience to simply be what it is and allowing the natural digesting, metabolizing of data to take place. And then, whatever we are digesting and metabolizing, we can integrate. And through that integration, we mature and there is more life can land in us because we are grounded. Until, that's a process of unfolding, of dropping away of filters, until we really deeply know that we are part of a living, intelligent earth. And the most, one of the really most important parts of that journey is to realize that even the all-encompassing frameworks, our worldviews, the cultural narratives are also part of what is changing. So we are not like born into a worldview and then it stays like this, but they are also increasingly diversifying and opening up. So those cultural narratives, they also need to be metabolized and digested and let go of. And, that is something which can be quite surprising. If we are used to having the teachings, having everything, being passed down to us within, materialist, capitalist, patriarchal culture. And then at one point we wake up to that and we see, oh my God, I've been sitting inside that worldview, not even noticing it. And it's like it's a nesting set of Russian dolls. You probably have seen those. There's a big one and then they get smaller and smaller and sitting inside of each other. And this is a very good illustration of how it works. In the beginning, the world is quite small and contracted. And then through practicing, we are starting to open up, starting to let go of the confinement of something which we have outgrown. And, that's like a personal, individual path, but also happens in society itself. I'm quite, regularly speaking about that we are standing on a threshold, like as a civilization now, where we are waking up to the fact, that the old narrative, the old paradigm is no longer capable of holding, of containing what is happening on the planet. And one of the most, outstanding things which is happening is the climate crisis. Climate crisis saying, the framework in which we are operating, it doesn't add up with reality. It just doesn't. And that is like when this waking up happens on a big scale, is more and more people seeing, yes, it really isn't. It really is not adding up. We can't kind of endlessly grow and grow and grow in terms of material needs and extraction of materials from the earth herself. The earth can't support it. It simply cannot handle it. And we need to grow out of that worldview that we are kind of entitled to do what we like. And we are waking up into a different worldview where we are starting to realize we are participants of the planet. We are not on the planet, but we are in it. We are part of it. And this is such a waking up, Before we were thinking, oh, we are just like little babies being taken care of. We can do what we like. And now we are seeing, oh no, we are the mother. And we have to act differently. We have to just give that one up. We have to give that up to be just taken care of, and we can do what we like. We need to participate. We need to be part of the solution because we are part of the earth. We are living earth ourselves. And that's when we hear that for the first time, it's like a jolt, oh my God, I have to give up that a whole approach to life. And then, find my grounding and find my location inside of that new way of understanding what it is, to be born, to be alive. And I think that's exciting also. I find it very exciting and energizing because as soon as we are willing to align ourselves with that new situation, all kinds of things start to happen and help us actually. And I brought a quote by Donna Haraway. She's a professor emerita for history of consciousness at the University of Santa Cruz. And one of her books, it's called In the Beginning Was the Word. So she's speaking about, how important language is to inform our thinking. And there's a quote which really illustrates what I was just speaking about. And she says, facts are theory related. Theories are value related. And values are history related. So, we are seeing and we are calling certain things facts, which are the result of the way we are looking, actually. And so our theory. And then the way we are looking is informed by what we consider to be of importance. And what we consider to be of importance is depending on the era we are living in. And it's constantly changing, but it's changing in a very slow way. And it needs a lot of precision, to really notice that. And we can't control the process, but we can hone our capacity for being affected by reality and really noticing what's happening rather than distracting ourselves, with entertainment and all kinds of things, do not be affected, to just keep on kind of operating on autopilot. And the meditation practice, the teachings of the Buddha and other spiritual teachings, are there to give us guidelines how we can hone our capacity to be affected by reality. And, to connect more and more with the fact that we are part of a vast process. And we can attune to that process by removing those filters of views and habitual ways of commenting, on our experience. and be more in the direct, naked, sensorial relationship with life as it is. And it's a process, to train ourselves to be capable of that direct relationship. And, one way of expressing that inside of the early teachings of the Buddha is the 7 factors of awakening. That's 7 qualities of the mind which can be trained, which can be honed through practice. And then the mind becomes more and more capable to really understand and notice what is happening. It's not so lost, inside of views and opinions and habits, really. So it's a process of training and honing capacities which are already part of our potential. But if it's not intentionally trained and honed, it's not going to come to its full potential. And it's on one hand, it's a sharpening, and on the other hand, it's like a opening, a widening. So both is happening at the same time. So, adding some, like sharpening a knife. It's more the wisdom qualities. And on the other hand, is also increasing faith, increasing confidence in our own capacities. It's more like a weight, adding a weight to it. Because if we have a very sharp, razor edge, if it doesn't have weight, it can't really cut through anything. It's sharp, but it doesn't have the power to cut. So we need the weight as well. And we also need, the capacity of holding things as they are, and by paying attention and by holding steady with the process, finding the right moment, finding the right situation to be able to go deeper. So it's several qualities which need to be developed, not just one quality. And those 7 factors of awakening are one way to get a handle on it, get a handle on our situation. And that's what I would wanted to do today, to guide us in a meditation on those 7 factors of awakening. I've done that already in the past, but one can't do that often enough. And it's part of the very early teachings. So please, find a posture you can sustain for about 40 minutes. And just really allowing yourself to sense the body as it is sitting here. The weight on the cushion, the gravity which gently pulls us towards the soil underneath where we are sitting. And, being aware as the body, what you're bringing some sense of stress maybe, or openness and ease, whatever it is, it's fine. Just being aware of it. We always need to start where we are right now. because, we know that any ideas, which come from a disconnected place are not really working. With the out breath, sending down some roots into the soil underneath us. No pressure. And with the in-breath, we can breathe up the stability and stillness of the earth. We are sitting inside of the earth, inside the atmosphere, which is going up above our head. We are not on the earth, we are in the earth, which consists of many different layers. And in the center of the planet, there is the hot, liquid center. And then there are many layers of rocks and soil and water. The network of roots and mycelium. Then all of the vegetation, the trees and the plants, which produce the oxygen for us to breathe and for other animals. The atmosphere goes up 2 miles or so. So we are sitting inside of this vast sphere we call planet Earth. And we are in a time of history where more and more of the species Homo sapiens is waking up to the fact that we are part of a living, intelligent Earth. We have entered into a new narrative. One of the Russian dolls has been shed, and now we are inside of a much bigger one. And we're just, getting our bearing, looking around and being in awe about how could we not have known this? And just allowing that sense of awe and disorientation to just be there. It has a function. To really allowing that, not shutting it down, not turning away from it, it clears space. And rather than, distracting ourselves from it, we're just really paying attention to it, really turning towards it, bringing mindfulness, awareness, sati to that experience of awe and disorientation, or however we want to define it, that the not knowing, the uncertainty. Just allowing that to do its job on us. There's nothing wrong with that. Even, the body might contract, not like that uncertainty, but it's okay. That's how growth happens, like going into territory we haven't been before, walking into new territory. And, rather than turning away into the familiar, we bring some interest, some curiosity. That's the second factor of awakening. In the Pali language, it's called Dhammavichaya. Just taking an interest, what is this uncertainty? This, has quality of sense of awe and excitement, but also anxiety. And excitement and anxiety are very close. Depending, what spin it has, it can be more on the side of, I'm scared, or it can be more like, wow, what's happening? So letting that energetic quality do the job of widening and deepening our capacity for connection. And the discomfort is part of it. That's okay. And in order, to stay with that process, we need energy. That's the next factor of awakening, virya, to stay with the process, to put the causes and conditions in place so that widening and deepening is really happening. By simply, staying steady. Staying steady. and allowing the tension to be softened by steadiness. If the tension is not given into, but we are just steadily staying with it, it starts to widen, starts to give way. Like a very tight rubber band. If we keep on stretching it, it loses its tenacity over time. So that's that's the stage of a process which we often experience as discomfort. But discomfort is part of growth. There's nothing wrong with it. Just need to titrate it. And it's not a personal problem. This is just the way how things work in nature. So once we have get the hang of that, then there's a sense of it's actually working. There's like a subtle joy or contentment, a smoothing out of the tensions. And that's the fourth factor of awakening, which is called piti in the Pali language. The literal translation would be joy, which might be a little bit too much, that word, but rather call it like a sense of having connected, of having landed in the process and being okay with it. Allowing that tension to slowly melt away. And also the recognition that there is a practice, there is a way to engage, which mightn't be a 100% comforting on a physical level, but we can see that it makes sense. Because the body can, relax into widening and deepening. After we have been able, to go through the initial discomfort and the doubt that this is the way. The direct sensorial experience of what's happening right now, not a thinking about it. The thinking is, helpful to point the way, but then we need to really be there with our full equipment, which is the body, sensing what is being met. No need to put a story on top. So once we are there, at that point, we can just let the mind and the body go on with that work. And we don't need to get involved anymore so much. And there's a more calming and settling happening. And that's the next factor of awakening, passaddhi or tranquility, the fifth one. So now we don't need to put in so much from our side, but just more or less, letting nature take over. The calming, settling is happening. And then the next factor of awakening is samadhi, or stability, focus, collectedness. So really being there, fully being there. The fragmentation has given way. There's a sense of composure and immersion in present moment experience. Dropping deeper. And the body, can sense the falling away of the boundaries between body and everything else. It's a direct experience of non-separation and a sense of resting, arriving, just being. And spaciousness and openness, not as a possession, but as a process. It's not a thing, but it's a manner of being, a flow, an unobstructed flow. Which is always already happening, but now we are conscious of it, aware of it. We are it. So connected yet spacious and balanced at the same time. That's the next factor of awakening, the last one, upekkha, or equanimity, or sense of perspective, bird's eye view, And in the scriptures, it is defined as dwelling free from desire and discontent. Just being with how it is. And that's, considered to be the consummation of the all factors of awakening. And it strengthens sati, it strengthens mindfulness and awareness. Because the mind is really wide open. So there's more capacity now for sati. And then we can go through another round. And in this way, the spiral is going deeper and deeper into reality. Not by thinking about it, but by having a direct sensorial experience of it. As you're having it right now, if you are not caught in the thinking mind, you can sense with your whole body non-separation. It's a, dropping away of being caught up in the thinking mind, a temporary liberation of the mind. Sometimes it's also called, my first teacher, Ajahn Buddhadasa, called it a little taste of Nibbana. Just a little taste. Like taking a spoonful of something and knowing how it tastes. But it's a, temporary abeyance of the hindrances of greed, hatred, and delusion, temporarily at peace, lying down, like a dog you have been chasing around, and then it's tired and lies down and is nice and good for some time. And that's really important to taste that. That's a sample of the potential of the mind, which is free. So just allowing that to be savored, to be really met and tasted and integrated so we can remember it. Giving room for change to be what it is. By so simply being that flow. First, it's more like a recognizing of change, and then we're drawing closer and closer by moving out more and more from the thinking mind and having a direct sensorial experience of it with the body. The body as an organ of listening, an organ of knowing. But there's no distance, between that which knows and that what is known. It's one and the same. That vibrancy, that aliveness, which we are meeting with the body. And the body being this organ of listening, There's, it's a, some call it the cosmic hum, or the ringing of the ornaments of the Great Mother. There's 1,000 ways, how it can be described. My teacher Ajahn Sumedho called it the sound of silence. And in all of those descriptions, they are springing out of a worldview, of course. And they are all approximations. They are not the truth, but they are signposts, and they can all be used with the awareness that they are signposts and they are not it. But they help us to draw closer. The ornaments of the mother, the sound of silence, the cosmic hum, the vibrancy of aliveness. Limitless space, and that which knows. Refuge in Buddha, refuge in awareness. And in the end, all words, all description have to be relinquished. And it's a direct knowing. And that's what is meant with honing the capacity to be affected by working with the 7 factors of awakening, is to be in that direct recognition of that aliveness. Which always finds a way. And we can attune to that. We can align with that aliveness, which speaks to us not through words. It's more like a falling away of filters. And the falling away of identification with the process. and allowing no subject, no object, just body and the breath. And noticing the peacefulness of that. Not identifying with anything. Not judging anything. Not rejecting and not getting involved, but just allowing. And all of the Russian dolls, they all fit inside of that. All of the narratives, which have been coming and going over the millennia. And not clinging is the opposite of dukkha, the opposite of unsatisfactoriness. The medicine is the not clinging to any of it. And noticing, when clinging is there. It's not about suppressing the clinging, but noticing the effects of clinging. And knowing how it is if there is no clinging. So that openness to sensing and feeling, that's the medicine. That's what we are training in. The openness to sensing and feeling. as the medicine. That urge, to evolve and go with the flow. Seeing what is ready to be shed. No need, to make sense of it with the thinking mind, but trusting the body as an organ of listening and knowing. And allowing the stretch to happen. That's how growing, maturing happens if we look at a plant. It's kind of it's work, but we are worked upon. We don't need to make it happen. We need to allow it to happen. So in a minute or so, I'm gonna ring the bell. So, and when you hear the bell, then just trying to stay connected with the body as you are opening your eyes and coming more into connection again with everyone else in the Zoom room. That's also part of the practice, that constant change.